Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Akron Public Schools Board of Education for Monday, August 24th, 2020. Roll call, please.
Dr. Akbar.
Here.
Mr. Alexander.
Present.
Ms. Autry.
Present.
Mr. Bravo.
Present.
Dr. Hall.
Present.
Mrs. Mansfield.
Here.
Mrs. McKittrick.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if everyone could please mute your microphones and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. All right, we are going to move at this point to community and school reflections. I'd like to open it up to any of the board members that would like to start. And remember, you can queue up in the chat if you'd like. And there are so many people on this particular meeting that I cannot necessarily see all of you. So please do use the chat if you can. Yes, Ms. McKittrick.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, President Bravo. Once again, I find myself at a loss over the death of another child here in Akron from gun violence. So with my few words, I would like to express my deepest sympathies to the family, friends, and community of Michaela Pickett. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McKittrick. Would anyone else like to share community and school reflections? Dr. Hall.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would echo conveyed sentiments of Ms. McKittrick as well. It's such a sad scenario taking place yet again. And of course, I have two young daughters myself, and so it's hear that as well. And so again, my condolences are with her family as well. Also just want to quickly comment, I know we'll get to this more later. I also just want to thank the parents who have taken the time to email me or call me or meet with me in person as it relates to sports here in Akron. And so I know that a lot of your time went into the composition of those emails, and a lot of your time went into the time for calls and meeting with me in person. And so I just want to say thank you for that. You have been heard. My ears are open, and I just want to say again, thank you for the time that you put in to communicate with me in a very positive way. And let me add that, again, I think it's important that we place an emphasis on respectful, rational discourse, and I'm happy to report that that's what I've been able to engage in with countless parents. And so just want to say thank you to those of you that took the time to engage me.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. Anyone else would like to share community and school reflections? Ms. Autry?
Yes, thank you. I would also just like to concur with my colleagues, Ms. McKittrick and Dr. Hall, with condolences and continued prayers for our community and for all of our families, as well as thanking the many folks who reached out to share their concerns and whatnot regarding extracurricular and sports. And again, I also want to let you know that you have been heard. And then lastly, I just want to say that I appreciate and welcome back our administrators who started back today, and good luck for a great school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Autry. Anyone else? Anyone else? Seeing none in the chat, then we will move on to our next order of business, which is our request to address the board. And we have several requests to address the board tonight. And so we're going to take them in order here, and I'll call your first name and your last name, and Mr. Pendleton, our treasurer, will help out to make sure that you get connected and that you are unmuted so that you can share your comments to the board. And I also want to echo my fellow board members and just say thank you to everyone that's reached out via email, phone call, text, social media, and even in person. Thank you for the feedback. And as has been echoed already, we hear you and we are listening. And we appreciate you taking the time to reach out. And if you have emailed and you have not gotten a response back, you will get a response back from me. We are fielding, as you might imagine, a number of emails, phone calls, text messages, social media messages, and the like. So please bear with us and be patient. We are trying to get back in touch with you and respond to every email that has been sent. So we will get back to you. Just would like to remind everyone that is addressing the board tonight that you have 3 minutes to address the board and share your comments with us. Mr. Pendleton will help keep time for those comments, and we'll let you know when you have 1 minute remaining. You have requested to address the board in a public meeting. The board typically does not respond to those requests to address the board in this meeting, nor do we typically engage in a dialogue. But I or the superintendent or one of his senior staff will follow up with each of you if your request requires that. And because we have so many people who are speaking on the same topic, we do ask that you just be mindful of the time and that you focus on your comments, and it might even help to summarize your comments and maybe try and avoid repetitiveness so that you have as much use of your time as possible. With that, we'll go ahead and begin with our first request to address the board, which is Mia Nagle. And she is from the USA Swim Fast Team. Mia, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Mia. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Mia Nagle, and I'm a rising IB junior. I swim for Firestone and its joint USA Swimming Club team, FAST. On August 10th, I was in Maryland and received the news that APS was canceling athletics until November 11th. It was very frustrating being 360 miles away from my home and having no ability to fight for my right to play. However, it's even more frustrating that I'm still having to fight tonight. When my team resumed practices at the beginning of June, it was very tough. In many ways, we were all starting from square one. Most, if not all of us, had been out of the pool since early March and had not had any formal workouts or coaching since then. During the school year, my schedule's always packed, and working in the pool and in the classroom for 18 hours a day is common for me. On the surface, it may look as if I have no free time, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Each day, I wake up and know that my school day is packed with activities I enjoy. Going from this day filled with rigor and enjoyment to an entirely blank calendar was not just a time adjustment, but a mental one as well. This mental adjustment is one I do not think APS understands. While safety during these unprecedented times is of the utmost importance, I think that us swimmers have proven ourselves in our ability to stay safe during a worldwide pandemic. At practice, we come in with masks and stay socially distanced throughout the entirety of our practice. Our facility is cleaned after each group of athletes exits the facility. On top of it all, swimming is a zero-contact sport. So why, after 2.5 months of safe and healthy success, is our progress being canceled? Do you understand that winning a season is more than just purely wanting to play a sport? Swimming is my passion, and of course I want to play, but I also want to be coached by people that I consider mentors. I want a season because I have a desire to be surrounded by teammates who I consider my family. I want a season because I want to return to a sense of normalcy in my daily schedule, and I want to continue to grow as a person and as an athlete. I want a season because I want to watch my younger teammates from FAST come from all over Northeast Ohio to attend Firestone and swim for its storied program. I want a season so that I can continue to be recruited by programs from the SEC to the Ivy League. I want a season because the 3 months within it are the ones that I look forward to the most every year, and because what decision we make now will affect me and my peers for the rest of our lives. Canceling our season means
just so you know.
Canceling our season means more than just canceling sports. It means canceling our relationships. It means canceling the applications of young athletes who come from everywhere to swim and study at Firestone. And it means canceling moments and memories that will last a lifetime. It means canceling potential scholarships and futures. And above all, it means canceling years of tradition. I'm sure everyone in this meeting tonight wants a chance to mark their name down in history, but just know that canceling our season is not the mark you want to make. We have proven ourselves to you, and now it's time for you to prove yourselves to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia, for those comments. We appreciate that. Next up, Naya Booker. And Ms. Booker, I see you. So whenever you're ready, we'll let Mr. Pendleton give us the go. Okay, he's set. So go ahead whenever you're ready.
Well, hi, I'm Naya Booker. I am a rising IB 12th grader, and I play women's soccer at Firestone. Honestly, these past 2 weeks have felt so long, and after a week of staying in bed on the phone, feeling totally unmotivated and off schedule, I decided to do something about it. So last week, I had the privilege to hold my own Zoom calls with student athletes across the APS district and across multiple different sports, and we discussed our thoughts and our feelings on the suspension of our seasons, and those calls were recorded and they are posted on YouTube, so you can see them. But there are a million reasons I can give you on why we shouldn't play. The health department's recommendations, I acknowledge the fact that large groups contribute to community spread when the guidelines aren't put in place. But I also can give you a million reasons on why we should play. I've seen the toll that this isolation has taken on not only myself, but on my teammates, my friends, my little brothers. There are a lot of APS athletes who were and still are depending on this season for their futures, and whether or not they go to college is solely dependent on if they play. The real reason why I wanted to talk to you guys today, whatever side you guys lean towards when making a decision, is I'm at this place with all of you making this type of decision is because of the lack of leadership in our state and our federal government in regards to the response to this pandemic. And because of the lack of action, the inability to mandate or keep things closed longer, and I'm not going to go into depth about that because I think we all know, but because of a lot of mistakes were made here, we are forced not being able to play sports, not being able to go to school. And there are so many other things we are being robbed of as kids because the adults couldn't get it together. And I understand and empathize with being a board member right now. And I wouldn't want to have to make the decision in this environment because there is no right or wrong answer. But here's what I do know. Playing sports this season should be an all or nothing thing because of the leadership at several different levels, we're unable to make these decisions. We as APS athletes are sitting back and watching other teams and other programs play and kick off their seasons. APS, like other large urban school districts, continue to have gaps in so many different ways. And here we are again with the schools that are being more funded, more supported playing. And here we are, APS disadvantaged. So I'm asking you to take into consideration the million reasons why we should and shouldn't play, as you should, because that's your job. But I'm really asking you to do is make a decision that continues to put Akron Public School kids not in a disadvantage. And on one of my Zoom calls, I asked what services or support would you like to see from the APS school district if there is no season? And someone replied with, help me go to college. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Booker. We appreciate that. Megan Neely, also from the USA Swim Fast team. Ms. Neely? No, I think you're still muted. I can see you. No, not yet. Give us just a second. Either Mr. Pendleton or Mr. Rittenhouse. Miss Neely is marked with unknown. She's wearing a blue shirt.
See that. We'll continue to work on that. If you want to move on to the next.
I'm not a host or I would unmute you because I can see you, but Ms. Neely, if you give us just a second, I'm going to move on to the next person and we'll come back as soon as we can identify you in the list and unmute you. Cindy Dial, also speaking on behalf of the fast swim team. Ms. Dial, I can see you and you're unmuted, so whenever you're ready.
Good evening. Thank you to the board for allowing me to speak tonight, and thank you for taking the time to read all the emails and answer all the questions from the parents and the athletes concerning the Firestone Akron swim team's use of Firestone Natatorium. I've been an APS employee for 24 years and been coaching swimming for 38. So the FAST program came long before I came to Firestone. The FAST program was designed to allow our high school athletes to train year-round, as well as provide a feeder system to our high school program by working with the 14 and under age groups. Currently, the program's senior group which is a high school group, is 80% APS athletes and students, and the age group level, which are 14 and unders, are 65% APS students. And those are our future APS athletes and student athletes. Through USA Swimming, our athletes have had many opportunities at every level. We have a young lady that will be attending the National Diversity Camp at the Olympic Training Center. We have athletes that attend the National Select Camp at the Olympic Training Center. We have swimmers that are part of the national junior team, swimmers that attend junior nationals, senior nationals, Olympic trials, and actually one Olympian that who had 2 gold medals in 2 Olympic Games. None of this would be possible without FAST. And more importantly, FAST has opened up a lot of gateways to universities that these kids would never even look at if they didn't have this year-round swim program. We have athletes with cognitive impairments, as well as athletes with physical disabilities, including a young man that's blind and a young lady that is a para-athlete. These athletes are not isolated and put in the corner by themselves. They are in there working out and doing everything that everybody else is doing. You look at the faces of our athletes and our coaching staff, and you see diversity amongst us. If you want to look at inclusion, diversity, and equality, look through the windows of Firestone Natatorium. Although FAST is a 501(c), the qualities that our program encompasses are a reflection of the goals and the philosophy of Akron Public Schools. The governor stated last week that he wants to see all youth sports moving forward mindfully. The order says if there's a conflict on the rules between the state health order and the governing body rules, participants are expected to follow the rule that is most restrictive on their activities. We've been going above and beyond these restrictions that we've had upon us since June 1st. I encourage you to use your GPS and type in 333 Rampart Avenue. This is the address of the old Firestone High School building, and it will actually take you directly to the natatorium entrance. Please actively investigate our procedures that we've been using for all of our natatorium programs. All we want is to keep our families, athletes, and staff safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dial. I appreciate your comments as well. Are we able to move to Ms. Neely just yet? Or if one of you wants to make me a host, I can unmute her.
We're working on that now, so I suggest moving on to the next.
Okay. All right, next on our list is Yolita Ilodi. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but please feel free to let me know if I'm not. Are you with us? Yolita Ilodi, or Ilodi, or Ilodi. All right, we will move on and come back. Kim Trowbridge. Kim, I see you. And we will try to unmute you here. There you go. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to the board. I am a parent of 2 Akron Public Schools high school students. My son is going to be a senior at Firestone, and he plays in the band. My daughter is going to be a sophomore at Elliott, and she is a volleyball player. I am also a 33-year public health professional. I have worked in many different public health settings, and including now I am in academia. I am a faculty member and program coordinator for the Master of Public Health program here in Northeast Ohio, as well as a faculty member in the Department of Family and Community Medicine at NeoMed. So I do understand the risks of COVID. I am involved in different research projects I am involved in weekly, sometimes bi-weekly meetings at the state and national level when it comes to COVID. So I have a complete understanding of where the board is coming from. I also understand that in public health, we are trying to encourage individuals to live their lives through awareness instead of fear, because fear has been driving this entire pandemic through the media and other resources. What it's doing is trickling down now into our children, and this is something that's going to affect them for the rest of their lives. So I think it's very important that as professionals and as the adults in the situation, that we show these students about the difference between living in fear and living with awareness. We have to do this with every aspect, every risk that our children face. And as a parent, I am very well aware of the risks that my children face. I am aware of the recommendations from the American Academy of Pediatrics all the way down through our local recommendations at the Summit County Public Health Department. The American Academy of Pediatrics does recommend that we follow the guidelines of our local health departments, but they also recommend that the decision fall on the parents based on what they know about their own circumstances, their family circumstances, and what they feel is best for their children.
1 minute.
I also wanted to talk a little bit about the mental health of athletes and other students participating in extracurriculars. Over this time, I have watched both of my children go through depressive modes. I've never seen that before. It actually made me worry, and that was one reason why I reached out and emailed the board. I'm also watching my son and my daughter worry about whether they are going to be able to be good enough to participate in other things that they do beyond high school, in higher level activities such as JO volleyball or in other musical adventures that my son has. I understand that these decisions are very difficult to make, and I don't envy your position. What I would hope is that instead of having an all or nothing kind of mentality, that we can come to some sort of compromise so that our students can at least practice and participate in some way, even if you are not willing to allow them to have competition, then they are allowed to at least continue the practice that they have been doing almost most of the summer. And that we can at least compromise in that way so that they are not put at a disadvantage to other local students. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Trowbridge. We appreciate that.
Mr.
We're going to
Bravo.
go now to Ms. Neely. I do see that she is unmuted at this point, so thank you for being patient with us. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yes, hi, thank you. Thanks to the board for allowing me to speak today. I just wanted to let you guys know that I am an RN case manager with SUMA Health System. I am calling and speaking to you guys on behalf of FAST USA swim team. My daughter will be a new 9th grader at Firestone High School this year. We recently purchased a home 7 minutes from Firestone, and I just sold my house here in Talmadge a few days ago. But you know, when I found out that I could speak today, I wrote many speeches trying to find the exact words to convince you guys how fast needs to be in the pool and why. One of the things that I can say, and one of the biggest arguments I can give, is that it's been working, you guys. We've been doing it. We've been doing it for almost 3 months now. Our kids have been swimming almost every day. And how are we doing it? Well, it's because Coach Cindy and Carl and Aaron and Joe and Will, those are the coaches. They took pieces from the CDC, the local health department, USA Swimming, Ohio High School Association, and put together this master plan to get our athletes back in the pool to where they would be safe. Now, swimming is at an advantage, and the advantage is that swimming is an absolute no contact sport. So we do realize that we have that advantage. But I just need you guys to know to please look over the policies and procedures that FAST has on their website. It goes as deep as the mask to 6 feet, to taking 6 feet away, to taking temps, asking questions, the contact tracing that the coaches do. The contact tracing may be better than what we even do at the hospitals. I mean, you could ask Cindy where my daughter swam at on a certain day, what lane, who was swimming next to her, who swam in her lane. I mean, this is how serious these coaches are taking every step and precaution against the fight against COVID-19. They keep the chlorine levels very high. That way, no virus, and this is a medical and scientific fact, no virus can survive the chlorine levels that they keep in that high school swim
1 minute.
pool. I just want you guys to know that we need you. FAST needs you. Stand with us. Stand with FAST. Let us back in our pool. The community needs you. What FAST stands for is everything that we would all want as parents and as human beings. So much that I even moved my entire life to be with this group of people moving in the same direction with the same goals and going at the same pace. Please stand with us. Stand with FAST. We won't let you down. We've been doing everything, and the proof is in the pudding, right? We've been winning against the fight against COVID-19. We've been doing it, you guys, for almost 3 months now with no community transmission. Please stand with FAST. We need you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Neely. We appreciate your comments. I just want to check if Yolita Eladi is with us. See if she's been able to join.
Mr. President?
Yes.
This is Dr. Hall. So Dr. Elodi, apparently, I guess there was a glitch, didn't receive a link. I don't know how we provide, like how we allow people permission to speak, but I do know I have personally, and she sent me a text just now saying that she never received a link to be able to address the board. So I'm not sure if there's some way that we can reach out to Dr. Elodi, but I do know that she wanted to address the board as well. So
Dr. Hall, if you can maybe communicate with Mr. Pendleton offline and we can get her a link, and we'll come back maybe toward the end. We still have a couple more to go to.
Sure. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Larice Moore.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Moore. Whenever you are ready.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you to the Akron Public School Board for allowing me the time to address my opinion regarding low to no contact sports. As the mother of a rising IB junior at Firestone CLC that participates in 2 such sports, tennis and swim, this topic hits our family deeply. As a pediatrician, I'm also aware of how difficult a decision this is regarding sport participation. It is also a topic that has been discussed in depth and has mostly been left to each parent for the final decision to either participate or not to participate. With the ever-changing numbers, data, and scientific evidence that comes out daily, if not multiple times in one day, it is a challenge to make decisions quickly, especially decisions that affect the safety of our children. The American Academy of Pediatrics states that re-engaging in sports activity with friends has both physical and psychological health benefits that supports their developmental growth. Data to date suggests that children are infected with COVID-19 less frequently than adults and typically experience less severe disease. Children have also not been a source of outbreak to date. Each of these sports need to be looked at individually. Taking an all or none approach is both unfair and unwarranted. There are multiple factors that should be looked at, including how many kids are participating in practice and/or matches, how are each of these sports are training, are the kids hanging around each other in locker rooms, dugouts, benches, and are there protocols set for social distancing, masking, hand hygiene, and hygiene in general? These factors all relate to the main driver of transmission, prolonged close contact. Therefore, each sport should be evaluated for the setting in which it would influence transmission. Both tennis and swimming has followed both federal, state, and local health guidelines to implement those previously stated factors. Coach Samsel with Firestone Tennis and Coach Dial, along with the other FAST coaches, have worked diligently to not only put protocols in place for health screening and keeping children safe during practice and matches, but have educated each student, athlete, and family of these practices. There have been stringent consequences when rules have not been followed. Girls tennis completed preseason practices and 3 matches without incident prior to the abrupt shutdown. The girls' composure transitioning to this new normal during this difficult time would make any coach, principal, parent, and school board member proud. As for swimming, a no-contact sport, FAST has worked hard to maintain cleanliness in all common areas and to screen all participants prior to entering the pool facility. FAST is not an APS program, but utilizes APS facilities. Its program reaches far beyond the APS district. No data currently points to transmission of COVID-19 to people through water. I urge you as a board to reconsider your delay of certain fall sports, especially low to no contact sports. I understand the disappointment all athletes feel regarding their sport delay, but each sport needs to be assessed individually. As stated before, the benefit of sports in youth is both physical and psychological, as stated by the American Academy of Pediatrics. From the immune system benefits, development of fine motor and gross motor skills, socialization and interaction with fellow peers, learning how to set and attain goals, building self-confidence, and learning to work together as a team. In addition to these benefits, I would like you to consider the community in which APS serves and the benefits that these activities have on these children and families that may otherwise not have any other outlet for physical health. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Next up, Natasha Gasper. Ms. Gasper, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you. My name is Natasha Gasper, and I am a swim mom to a rising IB junior. I am also a respiratory therapist for the past 25 years. My son has been a member of the Firestone Akron swim team for many years. My son was diagnosed with a bleeding disorder when he was 10. This means he doesn't make enough fluid to stop him from bleeding. From that moment forward, his life changed. He could no longer play in 95% of the sports out there. One of the few he could participate in specifically was swimming because it was a non-contact sport. The hematologist highly recommended swimming because it was a non-contact sport and it can help with the complications that arise from this bleeding disorder. On May 30th, we received word that FAST was allowed to move forward with practices. Detailed practice guidelines and videos accompany this email that we had to adhere by, including mandatory masks, how to enter and leave the building, how many people are allowed in a lane, parking, and etc. These rules have been strictly enforced from day one and still enforced to the last week they could practice. I would be more than happy to send these emails to all of you to show how the staff has communicated the safety protocols from day one of this pandemic. At the end of June, I received word that my son's medication that helped stop the bleeding was pulled off the shelf and no longer available. In short, it meant that there's no medicine nor intervention to help stop his bleeding today. Even a simple paper cut could send him to the hospital. And yet, even with this knowledge, I sent my son to swim because I felt completely safe with FAST, the coaches, and the policies and procedures that were implemented and maintained. I trust them with my son's life. It is the one sport where social distancing can easily be achieved and maintained in a completely safe manner. The hardest part when you take away these sports is that it's the athlete's outlet. It is where they can let out all their physical and mental stress. It clears their mind, their body, and their soul, helping them learn, sleep, and live a better life. I invite you all to come watch one practice. It would change your mind about the safety of swimming during this time in life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gasper. At this time, we'll return and see if Dr. Elodie has been able to join us.
She has not. We're having some technical difficulties connecting with her via our Google invite.
All right, well then here's what we'll do. We will, I'd like to move on in the agenda then, but we will come back if Dr. Elodie is able to join us and we'll let her share her comments with the board. I think it's important. I do want to again say thank you to all of the folks that joined us tonight to share your comments. As has been said before, we're listening and we hear you, and we will continue this discussion. And if your specific circumstances require a response, we will get back in touch with you as well. But thank you so much for joining us. We do encourage you to continue watching the live feed, which you can join on YouTube to watch the rest of our meeting. But at this time, we'll ask that you go ahead and exit this meeting. Someone may also exit you from this meeting, so we just want to let you know but please do join us on the live stream so that you can continue to watch the rest of our meeting. Thank you so much. At this time on our agenda, we're going to move forward to our Emeritus certificates, and just want to briefly share some information with you about those certificates, particularly for those who may be joining us and watching from home. But every year we present distinguished Emeritus Awards to employees who have retired from Akron Public Schools, and the awards are given to the most senior employees who have worked in education for at least 30 years, and 25 of those must have been with Akron Public Schools. One award is given to the most senior eligible retiree from each of the main employee groups. And we typically present these awards in June, but obviously due to the pandemic, we waited to see if we would return in person before we would make these presentations. Since we have not, we wanted to go ahead and make those tonight. And so we are going to do so. And each of the board members, if you have been preparing, each of you should have someone to share some bio information with as we present their award. And then each of those awardees or honorees will have the opportunity to address the board. So at this time, we're going to start with Miss Donna Bastick, an elementary school teacher for 34 years.
Good evening. Donna Bastick graduated as a proud Bulldog from Stowe High School. She attended Kent State University and graduated in 1984 with a Bachelor of Science degree in education. She later attended the University of Akron, where she earned a Master of Science degree in education in 2010. After working at a parochial school for 2 years, Donna was hired by the Akron Public Schools as a tutor for the 1986 school year. In 1987, she was hired as a full-time teacher and was assigned to teach kindergarten at Mickey Bright Elementary School. Principal Earl Ney was quite impressed with her classroom performance. In her evaluation for 1992, he wrote, "One of the most outstanding professional teachers I've had the privilege to work with." After a few years at Erie Island and Lincoln Elementary Schools, she moved to Barrett Elementary to teach kindergarten for the next 5 years. Donna seemed to find her home in 2000 when she transferred to Pfeiffer Elementary. She was a staff member there for the next 13 years, teaching kindergarten and second grade. Principal Deborah McCaleb was quite complimentary when she wrote in Donna's evaluation, "Mrs. Bastick is an outstanding teacher. She's extraordinarily dependable and going that extra mile in meeting her students' needs and parent concerns." Principal Ray Jackson wrote in Donna's evaluation, "She's a positive school leader. We are blessed to have her at Pfeiffer." From Pfeiffer Elementary, Donna moved to the Judith A. Resnick Community Learning Center for the final years of her career. Donna has been a very caring teacher who contributed to the entire school culture. The word outstanding was often used in her evaluations to describe her teaching. From being a tutor to a full-time teacher, she maintained a high level of professionalism. On behalf of all the students and staff, the Akron Public Schools wishes to thank you for your dedicated service. Congratulations, Donna.
Congratulations, Ms. Bastick. If you'd like to say anything.
There we go. There we go. I think you can hear me now.
If you have a phone or another live feed on, you might mute that.
Okay. It's probably my phone. I just wanted to, I don't know how to fix it. I just wanted to thank the board so much for this opportunity to get this award. I'm fortunate to have been able to spend the majority of my career in the Akron Public Schools. I have always wanted to teach as far back as I can remember. There was never anything else I wanted to do. So thank you so much for this award. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and congratulations again. Next up, Miss Kimberly Sabido, high school teacher for 33 years.
Yes,
I would like to present Kimberly Sabido, high school teacher, who is a proud graduate of the Golden Rams Garfield High School. After graduating from Garfield, she attended Mount Union College in pursuit of a degree in the field of education. She accomplished her mission when she attained her Bachelor of Science in Education, focused on math and data systems. She was hired by APS in 1987 to teach math. As fate would have it, she was assigned to teach math at her alma mater, Garfield High School, and she remained at Garfield throughout all of her teaching career. During all the years she worked at Garfield, administrators found her to be an exceptional teacher. In many of her evaluations completed by numerous administrators, one will find many complimentary words describing her performance. She was called excellent, dedicated, outstanding, and respected. Administrator J.R. Ondecker wrote in Kim's evaluation that she is a credit to her profession. Principal Shute wrote that Kim is an outstanding teacher, as well as Principal Frank Delane wrote that you are an outstanding teacher. Again, different administrators in the same building recognized her teaching talents. The students were the beneficiaries of her commitment to education. Her excellent teaching made a difference. Thank you for your excellent service to the students in Akron Public Schools. Congratulations, Ms. Kim Sabido.
Thank you, Ms. Sabido. And if you'd like to make remarks with the board.
Hi. Thank you so much for this awesome award. As they already said, I spent 33 years in Akron Public Schools, and 30 of them were at Garfield High School, and the last 3 at Kenmore Garfield High School. I did attend Garfield High School and met my husband of 33 years there. I really met so many wonderful teachers and students that really was my home away from home. It was wonderful to carry on the Ram Pride that I started early on in my career. And now I'm just looking forward to relaxing and spending time with my family. And hopefully when this pandemic slows down, getting to travel a little bit. And I'm letting my daughter take over the tradition. She's a 3rd grade teacher at Case Elementary. So thank you so much again for the award.
Thank you and congratulations. Next up is Miss Wendy Gillespie, a special education teacher for 30 years.
Fantastic. Presenting to Wendy Gillespie, special education teacher. Wendy Gillespie is a proud graduate of Cuyahoga Falls High School, home of the Black Tigers. After high school, she attended Bowling Green State University, where in 1983, she graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in education. She attended graduate school at Kent State University, where she earned her Master of Education degree with a focus on multiple orthopedically handicapped students. Wendy began working as a Home Start teacher for Head Start and worked for Monroe County Home Start. She stayed in these assignments for 3 years. She began working at Woodfield Elementary School in the Switzerland of Ohio local school district in 1986 when she was a primary developmental handicap unit teacher. In 1990, Wendy applied for a teaching position with the Akron Public Schools. In her application, she emphasized the importance of helping each child to learn. She was hired to work in the integrated preschool program. Her first assignment was at Crosby School. She also worked at Erie Island Elementary School, Barrett Elementary, United Disability Services, Stewart School, and Bridges Learning Center. Principals wrote positive comments in Wendy's evaluations over the years. Principal Jan Enright at Crosby wrote, quote, "It's a joy to visit her class and see the tremendous patience and progress of her special needs students," end quote. Principal Jonetta Curry at Erie Island School commented about Wendy's work with autistic children. She wrote in Wendy's evaluation, quote, "It is amazing to watch Mrs. Gillespie's determination to see that every child be successful," end quote. Barrett School Principal Terry Corbin wrote, quote, "Her job is always done with care and understanding of her students' needs, end quote. Helping each special needs child strive to reach his or her potential was her goal. She never tired of striving to help them. The Akron Public Schools, thank you for all the dedicated service you provided to all the special needs children you worked with over the years. Wendy, enjoy your retirement. Take care.
Congratulations, Ms. Gillespie. If you'd like to share some words with the board.
Hello,
Hello, whenever you're ready.
I'm Wendy. I want to thank all of you for this award. Special education is truly a team effort, and I've been so privileged over the years to work with the finest parents and the early learning program staff. I want to thank all of you, Superintendent James and your administration, the Board of Education, and AEA for working together to keep our schools excellent and our community APS proud. God bless all of you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gillespie. Next up is Sheryl Conway, who has been a field administrator with Akron Public Schools for 35 years. And I have the honor to share with you Ms. Connolly's bio. After graduating from North Canton Hoover High School, Sheryl Conway went to the University of Akron. She graduated in 1985 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Comprehensive Social Studies and earned a master's degree in Education Curriculum in 2004. She was hired by the Akron Board of Education in 1985 to teach social studies at East High School. From East, she moved to Kenmore High School, where she also taught social studies. Her supervisor, Principal Harry Jordan, wrote in her evaluation, "Ms. Connolly does an excellent job of teaching." And after 4 years at Kenmore, she moved to Garfield, where she remained for 14 years as a teacher. Her principal at Garfield, Fred Schuett, wrote in her evaluation that she was an outstanding teacher and an asset to Garfield High School. In 2007, Sheryl became one of the first teachers at the Akron Early College High School. And during this time, she also served as student council advisor. She remained in this assignment until 2013 when she became the Dean of Students, and she remained in that assignment for an additional 4 years. During her time at Akron Early College High School, her supervisor, Marilyn Bennett, wrote in her evaluation that she was a true professional in every sense of the word. However, Sheryl had one more goal to accomplish. In 2017, she became the director of Akron Early College High School, where she remained until her retirement just this year. During her tenure as director, the Akron Early College High School has twice been named a National Blue Ribbon Award winner in 2013 and again in 2019. Her leadership skills helped take the school to the next level of academic achievement. This was a fantastic recognition for the school as well as Akron Public Schools. Her leadership and enthusiasm are well documented. She has touched so many lives as a leader in such a positive manner. Thank you for all you have done for Akron Public Schools. Congratulations, Sheryl, and enjoy your retirement. If you'd like to share a few words with us, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, thank you. I have always loved being a teacher. Working for Akron Public Schools for the past 35 years has allowed me to see how the district consistently aligns with the challenges and the needs of the Akron community. Probably the biggest alignment has been navigating this pandemic and how seamlessly overnight the very stressful. I have worked with brilliant and accomplished people who I consider to be very good friends. I worked many years alongside educator Kim Sabido at Garfield. I have educated thousands of students, many who have become adopted children to me. Fortunately, none are currently living in my basement. I'm now looking forward to simply hanging on my back porch until I can begin to travel safely. Thank you again. I'm truly honored and appreciative.
Thank you so much, Ms. Connolly. Next up is Karen Blanton, educational assistant for 35 years here with Akron Public Schools.
Hello, I am happy to present Karen Blanton, Educational Assistant. Karen Blanton is a proud Golden Ram graduate of Garfield High School. After graduation, she attended Circleville Bible College, where she earned a degree in Christian education. Upon completion of her studies, she was ready to work in an educational setting. In January of 1985, Karen was hired as a full-time intervention specialist assistant with the Akron Public Schools. Her first assignment was at Hatton Elementary School as a classroom aide. From Hatton, she moved to David Hill Elementary School, where she worked in the developmental handicapped unit. Principal Barbara Whaley gave her very positive evaluations. In one of the evaluations, she wrote for Karen, Miss Mansell Blanton is a real asset to our DH children. She cares and lets the children know she cares. From David Hill Elementary, Karen continued her career at Barrett Academy. She worked primarily in the orthopedic handicapped unit. Once again, Karen received glowing evaluations from principals Sam Orlando, Terry Corbin, and Kathy Maddox from Barrett Academy. Principal Sam Orlando wrote in Karen's evaluation, very dedicated, hardworking individual. Principal Kathy Maddox captured the entire professional performance of Karen Blanton when she wrote in Karen's evaluation, Mrs. Blanton works diligently with the students for their success. She helps the morale of her fellow workers with her ability to get the group together. Principal Cherry Gore wrote in Karen's evaluation, thank you for your commitment to our students at Barrett Academy. Karen moved to Robinson Elementary School after Barrett Academy closed. Once again, she received positive evaluations from her principals. Principal Charles Jones wrote in her evaluation, takes pride in work, goes above and beyond to help kids learn new skills, and has a good rapport with both staff and students. Wherever you have worked in the district, Karen, you have left a positive impression. Principals continuously stated you were an asset to their programs. The Akron Public Schools wants you to know you are an asset to the district as well. Thank you for your dedication, hard work, and commitment to our children and staff. Congratulations, Karen, and happy retirement.
Congratulations, Ms. Blanton. If you'd also like to share some words with the board.
Good evening. My name is Karen, and I just want to say how much I have enjoyed working for the Akron Public Schools. You know, every day people go to a job that they do not like, but us as educators, we get to go to our classrooms and do what we love every day. We get to be some child's hero, but they in turn turn around and do the same for us as we watch them grow, succeed, and do their best. They become our heroes. I will forever miss my children and my school families, but what they have given me and the love they have shared with me, I will take with me forever. I want to thank you, the board, for this award, but more than that, I want to thank you for all your leadership and all you are doing every day to keep our children and our staff safe. May God's blessings be upon you, and may you succeed. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Ms. Blanton. We appreciate that. Next up, Ms. Rhonda Black, office support for 35 years here at Akron Public Schools, and to many, the voice of APS for a very long time. Mr. Alexander.
Yes, Rhonda is a proud graduate of Akron Garfield High School. She worked a few temporary jobs before applying for a position with Akron Public Schools. She was hired in July 1985 as a typist. She worked in the Office of Professional Employment and Certification and Personal and Administration, just to name a few. In 1996, her new primary assignment became the switchboard operator. She found her niche, and we may say the rest was history. During her years as a switchboard operator, words such as expert, dependable, valuable, and responsible were used to describe her performing her job and responsibilities. She was often cited for her ability to interact with the public in the most professional manner. Rhonda was usually the first person the public made contact with when contacting Akron Public Schools. Supervisor Kathy Hooper once wrote in Rhonda's evaluation, her greatest quality in her work duties is her work duties and her relationship with her coworkers and conduct with the public. She is still smiling that the greets public and the staff as they enter the building. Supervisor Tim Calfee wrote in her evaluation, Rhonda is an excellent switchboard operator, always friendly, helpful, and patient. She truly was the master at customer service. She knew exactly which departments to refer people to based upon their requests or needs. She had a keen understanding of the various departments and who in the department could be helped for the caller. In essence, she became the voice of Akron Public Schools until her retirement this year. One can still hear her unique style of greeting when she answers your call. She just made you feel so welcome. She greeted you in such a warm and friendly manner. One of her former supervisors, Fred Gissendanner, once wrote in her evaluation, I can't thank her enough. Akron Public Schools echoes those same words as well. Thank you, Rhonda, for helping serve employees and the public who called on your help. Very much appreciated, and your work was very good. Congratulations, Rhonda. And I wanted to add this here. This is not in what they wrote, but when we talk about customer service, Rhonda was customer service. So she was the queen of customer service. So thank you very, very much, Rhonda, for your service, Akron Public Schools.
Yes, congratulations, Ms. Black, on your retirement. Would you like to share some words with the board? And can we get one of those Akron Public Schools greetings you used to give us?
Yes. Good evening, Akron Public Schools. Hi, my name is Rhonda Black. I would like to say thank you, Superintendent Dr. David James, Board President Patrick Bravo, and all school board members, and my Akron Public Schools family. Thank you for presenting me with the certificate of Emeritus for my 35 years of service. It has been my honor to receive this recognition. It has been a pleasure, pleasure, to serve the community and my Akron Public Schools family as the voice of Akron Public Schools. In closing, I would like to say thank you to my family and also to my business affairs family, Deborah Folk, Nina Biskin, Elaine Retzer, Jennifer King, and Murray Freeman. Thank you for all the help that you have given me the last few years. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too. And Mr. William Miller, Maintenance, Buildings, and Grounds for, wait for it, 45 years.
Can I just say how this is one of my favorite meetings of the year, and I'm so sorry that we can't see everyone in person, but know that we are thinking about you, and thank you so much for everything. So I have the pleasure of letting all of us know about William Miller. He was a custodian. In 1974, Mr. William Miller was about to make a decision that would affect his life and many of those who he would come in contact with during his working life. He had no idea when he was hired by Akron Public Schools to be a custodial worker that he would remain on the job for 45 years. Bill's first assignment was at Goodyear Junior High School, later called Goodyear Middle School. In 1982, he became a licensed custodial worker while working at North High School. Bill moved to Ellet High School in 1985 as an assistant custodian. This move allowed him to work the night shift. He became a licensed assistant custodian in 1993 and returned to North High School. In 1994, Bill moved to Lincoln Elementary, where he would spend the next 10 years as a custodian. He moved to Perkins Middle School in 2006 and Litchfield Middle School in 2012. He worked for over 13 buildings before he finally decided to retire from the Ott Staff Development Center in July of 2019. Bill's work ethic was beyond reproach. Many of his evaluations included such complimentary words as conscientious, diligent, and outstanding. Not only was his work ethic noted, but his ability to work with others was often mentioned. He was known to be friendly, polite, respected, and a team player. At Perkins Middle School, Administrative Supervisor Angela Cooperage said that Bill's main statement when faced with custodial problems was, "Let's see what I can do." He always followed through. His supervisor, Diane Floyd at Litchfield Middle School wrote in her evaluation of Bill, "The best custodian that I've ever worked with, a true value to our kids, staff, and families." It should be noted that Mr. Miller's perfect attendance was noted 29 times in his evaluation. That's why I stuttered over that, because it's so amazing. It just made me just stop. Not only was he conscientious and a respected worker, but he was a dependable employee as well. Former Lincoln Elementary Principal Linda Green summed it up succinctly when she said of her custodian, William Miller, "He is the best." Thank you, Bill, for all of your service to Akron Public Schools. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Mr. Miller. And I don't believe he was able to join us for the meeting tonight, but our congratulations go out to him as well. And to all of our retirees this year, and in particular, of course, our Emeritus retirees. Thank you so much for the lifetime of service that you've poured into our kids. They were your kids long before they were my kids or our kids. We know how important the work that you do is as teachers and administrators, office support, buildings, grounds, and maintenance. And thank you so much for everything that you've done on behalf of our kids in Akron Public Schools. Ms. McVeigh.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to read, since Mr. Miller was unable to be here this evening, he did share a few words that he would like me to read.
Thank you so
Mr.
much.
Miller says, I would like to take a moment to thank you for this achievement award. Working for the Akron Public Schools was the best decision and a true pleasure for me. I never thought at age 17, starting a job as a student helper would lead me to a 46 years long career, but I'm really happy that it did. I enjoyed working with everyone I came into contact with, from my bosses, the staff, every crew, and all the children. I met some real characters, but mostly a lot of genuinely great people. I love my job and going to work each day. I'm grateful that I could do the job as long as I did. Once again, thank you to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McVeigh, for sharing those words. And again, congratulations to all of our retirees. Thank you again for your lifetime of service. We really appreciate everything that you do. At this time, I would like to go backwards in the agenda for just a moment. I do believe that Dr. Ilota was able to join us, and so I'd like to ask if she is with us at this time.
Hello. Hi, this is Dr. Lodi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you so much. Please go ahead whenever you're ready. You have 3 minutes to address the board. And then if there's any follow-up, myself or the superintendent or one of our senior staff members will be in touch with you. Thank you for your patience with us tonight.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. So my name is Yolita Alodi, and I just want to thank the members of the board for having me speak tonight. I appreciate all that you do. A little bit about my title is I'm a physician in internal medicine and geriatrics at Summa Health Systems since 2008. I'm also the parent of Dominic and John Alodi, both staff swimmers for the Firestone swim team. And again, this is the recreational swim team that is separate from the high school. I just wanted to have a moment to speak about how wonderful they've been throughout the last 2 years that I've been with them, but specifically during this pandemic crisis. I can honestly vouch for them to say that they have made sure that our children have been safe. They have socially distanced. So upon entering, the kids have X's that they have to stand on. They wear their mask, and they wear their mask right up until they get into the pool, actually. So they get their hands, they come in, get their temperature checked. They have hand sanitizer, and they wear their mask right up to their lane. And their lane they already know what their lane is. Those were emailed out. They're very vigilant. The coaches, although I'm sure are they want to get into the pool. They do not. They're very vigilant to continue to stay socially distanced away from the kids. And again, these are not, even though some of these are little kids, these are very good swimmers who have been swimming with the team for at least the last month. There's no locker room access. And so I really like that. So there's no mixing where the kids are, 6 inches away from each other's face. I always worry about that when they're left alone. And the parents actually stay out in the car. And upon leaving, the kids get out from their marked lane, put their mask on, and they leave, wetness and all. But that really just shows how much the kids really enjoy swimming, that they don't care. I know for my little boy, it has been a lifesaver that he's able to participate in a non-contact sport. And thank you. And I am I'm very careful and I'm very particular. I'm a rule follower. And so when it comes to the health of my children, that's my number one priority, but it's also my number one priority to take care of them mentally and make sure that they're getting the physical activity that they need to engage in as well. So I, again, just wanted to take the moment to just, to vouch for Fast Swim and for all they have done, and that they continue to be great leaders during this pandemic crisis.
Thank you, Dr. Lodi. We appreciate you joining us tonight and sharing your comments. At this time, thank you. As we prepare to move into the regular business portion of our meeting, we just want to again thank everyone that joined us tonight to share their comments and their feedback. We also again want to congratulate all of our retirees this year and our Emeritus retirees. If anyone that joined the meeting tonight to share their comments with us or to be honored is still on, we'd ask at this time that you go ahead and jump off of the meeting as we begin and to our regular business portion. And again, encourage you to join us on the live feed via YouTube. And if you're just joining us, of course, this is the regular meeting of the Akron Public Schools Board of Education for Monday, August 24th, 2020. This time, we will entertain a motion. We have 3 sets of meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes for August 10th, 2020, special meeting minutes for August 14th, 2020, and special meeting minutes for August 15th, 2020. We'll entertain a motion for approval of those minutes.
So moved.
So moved.
Second. A motion by Ms. McKittrick, a second by Ms. Mansfield. Any comments, question, or discussion on the meeting minutes? Hearing and seeing none, roll call, please.
Dr. Akbar?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Autry?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And at this time, we do have some unfinished business that we are moving up in the agenda because I believe we have some folks here to speak about that. This is item 23.28 that was tabled during our last meeting of July 27, 2020, and it's regarding AccuTrain, and you have some information in your board docs. So at this time, I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Yes, at that meeting on July 27th, that item was pulled. So we've arranged to have some of the staff and leadership from both David Hill and Robinson come in to explain their selection of that training. And if you will remember, that funding for that comes out of the school quality improvement grant that Mr. Harrington had referenced at that time. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Harrington and the staff from David Hill and Robinson COCs.
Thank you, Dr. James. Good evening, Board President Bravo and Board of Education members. Previously, the board requisitioned for 23.28 AccuTrain, which was professional development centered on discipline to assist students in responsible decision-making that impacts behavior, was removed. Heard concerns from the Board of Education. Therefore, it was agreed upon that the buildings making the request would have the opportunity to have their voices heard on the rationale for the selected professional development opportunity. With that being said, teacher leaders and administration for both David Hill and Robinson CLC have joined us this evening to discuss why they found value in this opportunity. We want to thank the Board of Education for providing them with the chance to be heard and express how and why their teachers and administrators came to the decisions they have. At this time, I would like to introduce Mrs. Tina McIntyre, principal of David Hill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Can everyone hear me? Okay, so I just want to say thank you to everyone, to the board, for providing time for us to come and speak on behalf of David Hill and Robinson concerning our professional development opportunities that we would like to present to our staff. David Hill and Robinson have the same goal in mind as our district, and we want to give our staff the effective tools to help guide, motivate, and build relationships with their students. We also want our staff and students to recognize when they lose that emotional control, that we can give them some tools to make the best decision to handle those situations in a positive manner. So after traveling to Innovative Schools Conference in Texas, I took a team, and Mr. Lane also had a team down there. We came back because we heard Larry Thompson present the responsibility-centered discipline program, and our team was excited. We embraced the strategies that he was offering. One of those strategies was Give 'em 5, and we passionately wanted to share it with our colleagues and incorporate it into our building. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my teacher leadership team from David Hill and Robinson. They are Karen Chivers, Anthony Lane, Joseph Bamba, Tracy Starks, Courtney Waldsmith, and Kelly Farmer. And they're going to present their passion for responsibly centered discipline. Okay, Joe, if you could put the slideshow up, our presentation.
Well, good evening. I'm going to start. I'm Karen Shivers, and I am very happy to be here and extremely proud to say that I have been the Dean of Students at David Hill CLC for the past 5 years. In addition to being the Dean, I also chair the building's climate committee, our positive behavior intervention support team, our special education and 504 team, and I serve as a member of our school improvement team and the intervention assistance team. So you get kind of a flavor that I'm into the behavior aspect of all this. I really want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about what we're doing at David Hill and Robinson to help our children learn emotionally and behaviorally. It's very exciting. Put up the next one for me, please. Thank you. As you know, the district's goal is to be the #1 urban school system in the United States. And both schools have 90-day plans that are written to help attain that goal. But tonight we're just going to focus with our presentation on focus area 2, which is the safe learning centers. So as you also know, David Hill and Robinson are located in the east side of Akron, where our students are growing up in poverty with very little supervision at home. They have to deal daily with violence, drugs, sex trafficking, and so on. They're in jail and are now being raised by some other relatives or friends of the family. Our students really know no other way to live, and they bring their attitude of defiance and mistrust of authority figures and violence to our schools. When I first came to David Hill 5 years ago, it was like no place I've ever seen, and I've been in many districts before Akron. It was really violent. We had a lot of fights. I remember saying to Mrs. Booth, like, they're fighting, like there's blood, and she's like, yes. And so we had over that first year, over 200 out-of-school suspensions for an elementary school, which just blew my mind. Basically, we had a system of compliance where we also used awards and games to try to encourage children to do the right thing to reach the majority of our students. So we use suspensions to take care of those who didn't buy into doing the right thing approach. I distinctly remember telling Mrs. Booth, this has got to change. As I mentioned, my background is in behavior interventions, and so I asked her if I could form a climate committee and start making some changes at David Hill. Unbeknownst to me, Robinson was going through the same thing. They were doing some self-reflection and some transformation processes, and we all decided to add climate coaches to our schools where they could work with small groups of students or one-on-one. We added basketball teams to our schools, which helped to motivate the kids to be at school and to maintain their grades and behavior. Zones of regulation. We refined our pack strategies that we use. We organized the lunchroom and the recess like large group areas so that would be more organized and run smoothly. We added restorative circles. We held behavior fairs so that all of the students and staff would know what the behaviors were expected in each of the different areas. So did a lot of one-on-one time with the students. I spent a lot of time with students and with parents. These practices did help. Our discipline numbers did come down. In fact, my second year, I was very proud when I was here at David Hill that I cut that number of 200 in half. And so I was very proud of that, giving so many office referrals from the classroom itself where the fights were taking place. And we also had teachers still saying that they just didn't have the skill set. They just didn't know what to do with these kids when they were aggressive, explosive, and leaving the classroom. We also observed that our teachers during those moments of conflict, their level of upset would increase and would actually match the students' level of upset. And when you have two in that state, nothing can really get accomplished. So we thought we need to find something to help the teachers so that they could help to de-escalate those behaviors, and also to try to rely on something other than suspension or kicking them out of class, that kind of thing. The committee, as Mrs. McIntyre said, went, and Robinson staff went to Texas. I stayed back and took care of the building, and they went, and that's where they met Larry Thompson. And when they came back, they were so excited. And with me being the head of the climate committee, they were telling me all these great things and showing me the book. They bought the book. This is the missing piece. This is what we need for those moments when there's conflict and the kids don't choose the right thing to do and the teachers are escalating. And so after reading Larry's book and hearing all that they were saying, I've got to tell you, I was convinced as well. So honestly, I got to tell you, we just have to do something. What we're currently doing, suspending kids, using detentions, losing recess, it's just not working. Yes, our numbers do look better. If you look at our numbers for out-of-school suspensions in March, and of course we didn't have a full year last year, David Hill had 85 out-of-school suspensions. Robinson had 48, but out of David Hill's 85, 52 of those were fights within the classroom. So again, it's like we got to do something with that. We also noticed that the same students, when you look at the names of those kids, the same students who are suspended in first grade are also the kids that are suspended in fourth grade and eighth grade, and eventually they end up in the justice system. And so we've got to break that. We've got to break that pattern. Find something that would address conflict resolution skills and give them those life skills of doing that, along with self-regulation. And that's for both the teachers and the students. And Larry Thompson's system seems to do just that for us. It's our belief, based on the information from Larry's book and what he has taught us, that if we implement this part of the puzzle, the self-regulation and conflict resolution piece, then we can help students develop lifelong social skills and help our teachers deal more effectively when there are those periods of conflict. We've got to stop treating our kids the way we've been treating them in the past. It's not effective. We've got to be more supportive and spot our students as they learn productive ways to deal with issues rather than using their hands, swear words. And now that we've learned about responsibility-centered discipline from these books that you see here on the screen, we believe we can do just that for David Hill and for Robinson. Our kids and teachers deserve this chance, and we hope that you'll approve the professional development monies so we can give them that. Thank you.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Tracy Starks, and I am a 5th grade intervention specialist at David Hill CLC. I serve on the Positive Behavior Intervention and Support Committee, the school-wide, the School Improvement Plan Committee, and the Climate Committee. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about responsibility-centered discipline, but specifically first what it is not. It's not manipulative. Learners are not being tricked into doing mental gymnastics, trying to guess what they have to do to get out of trouble or negotiate their way out of a challenging moment, or even allowing staff members to be manipulated and pitted against each other. It is not punitive. We have come to depend on letting the clock do the heavy lifting for our kids with no, regard the consequences for behavior in the way of detentions and suspensions, sending them to buddy rooms. The clock never solved the problem. The clock doesn't teach skills and strategies to empower students to be motivated and make better choices. We don't put systems in place to support the needs, specifically the emotional needs of our learners, and we're not empowering those learners with the skills they need to be successful later in life, to be better friends, better students, better coworkers, better parents, and eventually productive citizens in our society. The next thing RCD is not, it's not a script, it's a framework, and it's a cultural shift in thinking about how we approach challenging moments. We want the kids to have successful opportunities to be problem solvers. The next thing RCD, or responsibility-centered discipline, is it's not a coercion. We want to see the students build stamina and a skilled communication muscle with consistent practice and reinforcement at all levels of the learning community. So there's a place for rewards, but research shows that the trinkets and the toys and other types of tangible rewards for desired behavior is temporary. It can be used and manipulated, and in essence, it's not sustainable. So the rewards we want our students to realize should be based, we want it to be based in a pride for a job well done, measurable progress in the form of work, grades, and an undeniable feeling of accomplishment. So PBIS encourages celebrations, but it shouldn't be used as a tool to shape behavior. So that leads me to the next point of token economies. And again, it works for the short term, but teachers were often looking for ways to bribe students or try to get them to do what we want them to do. And soon it gets old and we're back to finding bigger and better prizes and tokens. And this reinforces the wrong muscle for our kids. They don't encourage students to make decisions that are internally motivated. And it doesn't allow for teaching those skills that will benefit them beyond the classroom. It's really a missed opportunity that we as educators can seize to improve the culture of the entire learning community. And then it's not a quick fix. To master RCD, it's going to require time and investment, practice, consistency, implementation with fidelity, and support. So the reward leads to more teaching time, more learning time, preserving relationships across the school system. Finally, it's not embarrassing. Responsibility-centered discipline encourages participants to protect their dignity and their pride. It builds kids up versus breaking spirits down. It reinforces what teachers sign up to do, which is educate, love, and support learners in those challenging moments. It builds teacher credibility and collective efficacy, which is shown by research, is highly correlated with student achievement. So those are the things it's not. I want to just briefly talk to you about what it is. It is a preventative strategy, and it's intended to be simple and consistent to address students at varying levels of conflicts. With skilled and successful implementation, it's been able to support the most severe behavior intensity. It's intended to be consistently used from the classroom to interactions the student may have with administrators in the office. It closes that gap between teachers and administrators wondering what happened in the office, or students showing up from nowhere, or leaving the classroom from somewhere. And everyone wondering what happened when they arrived back at the classroom with a piece of candy. It allows administrators to support teachers proactively. It's a framework, which is a structure designed to support, and in our case, the emotional social learning goals while operating as a positive behavior support. What exactly are we supporting? We're supporting learners as a person. We're learning to support students at that just right level. We learn to not overspot or underspot desired behaviors. That argument presented with token economies, the support is designed to encourage and internally motivate the desired behaviors outcomes through support and productive conversations, both to and from the student. It reinforces our roles as in their lives as caring human beings. It's a teaching tool. So you're going to be learning about the Give 'em 5 in a second from Courtney. But again, it's a strategy that we can implement and close that gap of wondering what's happening with discipline in different parts of the building. It supports our social emotional learning for both children and adults. We let them borrow some of our emotional support when they can't access or monitor their own. It starts in our morning meetings, and it weaves its way through the instructional day using RCD strategies, spotting desired behaviors, and preserving relationships. It consists of 6 essential concepts, and I'll just name them quickly. One is benefits for changing the behavior, emotional control, having clear expectations that come from the classroom. It's established core beliefs that's chosen by the community, consistency, leadership protocols in those challenging moments, and response ability, or the ability to respond in a productive and dignified way during the course of a conversation. We become skilled at identifying those exits that kids want to take to escape having those productive conversations. We spot and support them, and the student, we want them to be internally motivated to appropriately manage the conflict. Last but not least for me, it's a conversation which engages the above mentioned skills that I talked to you about and strategies to support the students in those challenging moments. We have an opportunity here to keep students safe, keep them learning in the classrooms, building those relationships and skills that will serve them beyond the classroom for the rest of their life. We are disrupting the school to prison pipeline. We're cultivating that environment that approaches conflict with calm, respect, purpose, and consistency. So we want a process and a space to do this work impactfully. So we hope we have this opportunity to amplify our learning.
All right, Joe, you can go to the next one. Hi, my name is Courtney Waldsmith. I'm a 3rd grade intervention specialist at David Hill CLC. I attended APS. I'm a proud graduate of Garfield High School. At David Hill, I'm a member of the Climate Committee, Positive Behavior Intervention Support Committee, and the Intervention Assessment Team. So I want to talk to you a little bit about Give 'em 5. So RCD provides a conversational model approach to handling challenging behaviors called Give 'em 5. So Give 'em 5 aids educators or any adult in choosing words that will positively guide a productive conversation. So that's pretty much all Give 'em 5 is a conversation. So let's take a look. So the first part of Give 'em 5 is support. And it's really important when we're talking about Give 'em 5 is to recognize it is not a script. Every single conversation is individualized to every child's unique needs and interests. So support is considers the child's strengths and interests. It must be relevant. It must relate to the unique relationship that you have for the child. It must be positive. Support is not to be empathetic. We're not trying to pretend that we understand what the child is going through or we understand their feelings, because 9 times out of 10, I will never understand what my child just came through that morning. I won't, and I'm not supposed to try to say that I do. I'm simply trying to support him or her at where they are that morning. The next part of Give 'em 5 is expectation. During that behavior, I am to tell them what the clear, consistent expectation is. The expectations are shared by everybody at the school. It is our school foundations. So that is to be addressed. The third part of Give 'em 5 is the breakdown. This step is important and sometimes forgotten in a traditional discipline method. So for Give 'em 5, instead of just telling Michael to stop talking, in RCD, I would say something more as, Michael, our school foundation is to be respectful. You're not showing Derek respect by talking over him. So you're really breaking down that expectation that you have and explaining why he is not doing it. The next part of Give 'em 5 is the benefit. Sharing benefits gives purpose to what you're asking. It's supposed to be motivational. The benefit makes the breakdown and expectation relevant to the child. It's really important to notice that the benefit can never be for myself, for the adult, or for the school. The benefit must directly benefit the child. And the final, last part of Give 'em 5 is the closure. This is a positive statement that helps the adult and the child move forward into a positive relationship. You can, closure is important so you're not damaging the relationship. So without it, you and the child might not be able to move forward, or you might have some ill feelings. So this helps everybody be able to keep going. Support, expectation, breakdown, and benefit can be given in any order, but the closure has to be last. Give 'em 5 helps educators maintain emotional control while improving student behavior. So these conversations, Tracy had mentioned RCD is not an embarrassing thing. All these conversations happen in private. It's not supposed to be embarrassing. They're calm, they're private, and they're one-on-one. So you're not bringing the rest of the classroom into it. You're not calling a child out. You're not trying to embarrass them. It's really important to know that every conversation, and that's where the teachers are learning these skills, is to walk calmly over to a child. So you're almost de-escalating it before it ever gets started. So that is the Give 'em 5, and I'll turn it over to Kelly.
Thank you, Courtney. Hello, everyone, and thank you for your time. My name is Kelly Farmer, and I teach 3rd grade at Robinson CLC. I serve on the building leadership team, one of the teachers on the Leadership 360 student group, and I coach Girls on the Run at Robinson. I will be telling you about the benefits of RCD. My first bullet point, RCD is a long-term benefit rather than a short-term goal of obedience. Teachers are trained to handle challenging moments with calm confidence. From that, everyone receives a better learning environment. Our goal is to keep every student in the classroom. To expand on this point, the benefit of responsibility-centered discipline is creating a positive atmosphere for learning by replacing short-term, punitive school discipline with a framework that considers the long-term best interest of the student. RCD creates a relationship between students and teachers. This allows for trust to build in the classroom and the school environment. Teachers really become more of a mentor and a coach instead of the disciplinarian. And that's clearly what we want to be. We want to be the mentors and the coaches, not the disciplinarians. My second bullet point, our goal is to give the school community life skills for the future. Using the roadmap to responsibility is about creating lasting change. It is about changing minds, not just behaviors. RCD works to change students' mindset from I can't do this to how can I do this. The Give 'em 5 framework teaches students and teachers to communicate their needs, feelings, and start to build their confidence to work towards their own solutions. And RCD provides students with life skills such as conversational skills, short-term and long-term goal setting, and problem solving. These are skills that they will take into their higher education and their careers. My last point, bottom line, these conversations must benefit, the benefit must be in the best interest of the student. And that is the goal of these conversations in the framework of RCD. Again, thank you so much, and I will hand it back over to Tina.
Thanks, Kelly. So there you've heard it. We want to implement this. We really want to try it with our students. And then we were looking at how are we going to measure the success of this program. We are going to be looking at our school discipline, our referrals, the incidents and where they happen, and then all of those suspensions. And then of course the successes of our students and staff, our students academically, and then our staff building that social emotional piece into their classroom. The climate team and the school improvement team will be able to analyze the data, report back to the staff their findings, their concerns, and of course, most importantly, their celebrations. We will continue to reassess, reevaluate the implementation of this program throughout the time that we are in it. And we just want to say thank you for listening and hearing our passion for our students and staff.
Great, thank you so much. Mr. Superintendent, I believe that concludes your presentation then on this item?
Yes, it does.
All right, so this item was pulled from the meeting of July 27th. I'd like to entertain any questions or discussion from the board. And again, I may not be seeing everyone on my screen, so please jump in the chat too if you can. Dr. Hall will kick off with you, and then everyone else, if you could jump in the chat and let me know.
Thanks for the presentation. I appreciate the time that you all took to put it. I just had a couple clarifying questions, if I may. One of the slides you showed, probably the third or fourth slide, I think it was a slide that had the book kind of outline and give them 5. It's 6 through 12 on there. So, you know, as a Nagle Elementary School graduate, I know that's not. I know that we stopped at grade 6. Yeah. So I was curious, you know, clarifying: is this a technique that is intended for grade school students? Because again, your slides say grade 6 through 12 on there. And then my other question was when I went to the website, because I was curious. You know, when I went to their website and looked at what educators had to say section. There was all the references were folks from middle school and high school. So again, it just maybe ask the question again: Is this intended for grade school or is this a junior high school tool?
Is it this book right here?
It was in your slide. Yeah, it said grade 6 through 12. It was on your slide. I'm not sure. I can't see your book there, Ms.
This one right here is K to 6. The Give 'em 5 book.
Okay, so okay, because you're
for grade 6.
Okay, so they have a K through 6 one on there. Okay, all right. I just was confused with the slide that grade 6 through 12. Okay, and then so this is what you're assuring me is that this is something that there is evidence-based it's used in grade schools.
Yes,
okay,
the book that all of our staff was given is K to 6.
K to 6, okay. And then Ms. Chivers, I think you said that, or maybe it was, I think it was Ms. Chivers. You talked about this not being an overnight fix, or maybe it's Ms. Starks. You know, what is in looking at the data, you know, and how this program's been used in other schools, you know, how many years are we talking about? I guess how quickly should we be expecting results? You know, with a program like this? Is this a 2-year thing, 4 years, 6 years? I mean, how long are we talking about affecting the requisite transformation in this school climate?
I can start. This is Karen Chivers, and then Tracy, I think that was on your slide. When we say it's a long-term or it's not a quick fix, we're talking about long-term success. Whereas if you had a compliance-based or a token economy, you might see a child, you know, if I'll give you this, if you do this, and so you may see that immediately. Whereas this is a change in behavior. We are teaching kids skills to think about their behavior. What do they need to change it, making better decisions. So it takes a little longer. I will tell you, because as I mentioned, I'm a behavior interventionist from way back. I've used some of these strategies with some of our students already and have seen the change in their behavior from being one of our biggest fighters to having absolutely no fights whatsoever when they went from here to the middle school. So it does work, and it takes more time to develop because you're spending more time talking to the students and working with them, and you're not bribing them to do that behavior immediately. But it's overall long-term, they're going to carry that skill with them all through high school, college, and on to being adulthood.
So you mentioned that that these are not conversations that take place in front of the other students. You know, that's one of the big sort of pillars, is that we're not embarrassing kids. And I think I applaud that. I mean, I think that's important. My question was practicality. I guess from a standpoint of practicality, you know, the numbers that you shared as far as discipline problems, is there the time, to pull these students out for individual one-on-one conversations? I mean, is there that much time in the day? Because I think the data that you gave, there's a lot of discipline issues that are going on that you're trying to address. I'm just wondering, practically, you have the time to work the tools the way that they were intended to be worked.
Tracy, you want to talk to that?
We do. Tracy, would you like to address that, and then I can tag team with you? Thank you, Karen.
Sure. I just want to, from the perspective of a teacher, this is a new way. It's like it's a mindset shift, and it's going to require practice on the part of the teachers to master this skill. And as far as the students, the clock is already doing the time. We're already losing so much instructional time with kids in the hallway, kids in the office, kids at home suspended. So the investment that we're making on the front end, having these 1 minute, 2 minute conversations is going to save us a tremendous amount of time on the back end with kids sitting out of the classroom not learning.
So I guess practically, so 1 to 2 minutes. So the teacher, and again, I'm just trying to make sure I understand it. So the teacher takes the student out of the classroom, has the 1 to 2 minute conversation, and then comes back in the classroom, or like practically, how does this work? I guess is where I'm maybe not understanding.
Actually, discipline at a school level there's no one right way to address student discipline. We have a variety of staff members that support students, the principal being one. So if the teacher does not, the principal is also being trained in these strategies. She has time she can go and meet with a student if the teacher needs that support. Also, we have Mrs. Chivers, who's full-time, who also provides support. We are fortunate to have a counselor on staff who can also provide support. We have a climate liaison who's on staff. So it's really not just empowering the teacher to have these one-on-one conversations, but empowering the whole staff, because it's a community, it's a village. And so anyone can have the conversations with the student. It doesn't just have to fall on the teacher. We like for it to start, of course, but if they're in the middle of instruction and they need some support, we can provide that as well.
Okay,
And
I appreciate it.
our tutors and our interventionists have too.
Right, that's what I was going to add, Courtney. We over here at David Hill, and I know it's done at Robinson also, we work as a team, a grade level team. So we have the core teacher, we have the intervention specialist, we have the tutor, and as Mrs. Kelly already stated, there's other people that will be supportive in that area.
Gotcha. So just two more quick questions, and I promise I'll be quick. The first question is, when you all sort of made the decision that this was the tool that you wanted for your school, can you just talk briefly about the process that you sort of employed to do that? So was this a conversation that you had with widespread buy-in from the teachers at David Hill Elementary School? I mean, was this a part of a faculty-wide conversation where you kind of talked about various types of tools, maybe RCD, maybe other ones, and you kind of come to a consensus that this was the tool that you thought would work best for your students? I guess. So yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Dr. Hall. After we went down to Texas and came back, we shared it and debriefed with the Office of School Improvement first of all, and shared our passion for it and our desires and our goal and how we wanted to use the program. And then the teacher team presented to our staff on Instructional Improvement Day, and we had most of our staff that had the buy-in. So most of our staff are on board, and I know we have 1 to 2 teachers from every grade level that are on board and ready to implement and do the strategies that we just talked about.
Gotcha. Okay, and then last quick question, and again, apologies for all the questions. I'm just trying to understand this appropriately. Ms. Chivers, back to you, and I think you said that this was maybe on a slide, and my apologies if I missed this. But again, I'm just trying to wrap my head around. So let's say you start this training, your staff goes to this training. Realistically, within David Hill, for example, once you have everybody trained, what do you envision as being the timeline for when you can expect to start to see the fruits of your labor and efforts?
I would say by the end of one school year. I mean, I think we'll see the fruit of our efforts very quickly because I've seen it myself personally with some students that have tried it. But overall, looking at, comparing year end to year end, I would believe that within 1 year, annual year, we are going to see a difference. We're going to see relationships develop. And remember too, we're also doing training for the staff on social emotional learning. So they're going to be responding differently as well. So, we're going to be watching that. And so I think if you have that in place, and if we're taking the time to build relationships and talk with the students and give them the skill set so that they can sit and think about, what do I need to do in this conflict situation? Because right now, our kids that come, they either freeze or they fight or they flight. That's all they know coming in. So we are giving them some tools that they can take away for life. And as soon as you give kids tools and you have them see that they're successful with it, you start to see that change. And so I honestly believe, and if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to admit it, but I believe we will see a huge difference in this one. If we can get the kids back, we will see a huge difference in this 1 year's growth. I know it.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Hall.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Reckley. Besides out-of-school suspensions, what are the other outcome metrics that you're looking at to gauge whether or not you've been successful? And that's my last question.
Dr. Hall, one of the things we talked about as a team is possibly also using student data through a survey to sort of ask some questions to see where they feel baseline with the climate, because we want to see a change in what they're thinking and how they're feeling as well. So if we get that baseline data, that would be another part of the matrix that we could use to see how we're moving in the right direction. Also, they have a SIP team, and that SIP team is responsible for reviewing their data monthly. So it's not we're going to wait till the end of the year to see if the strategies are taking hold. They will be discussing this as a staff on a monthly basis. We also have PLCs that meet weekly, so they can keep a temperature check on how the implementation of the strategies are going, and they can quickly self-adjust if they see that it doesn't seem to be having an impact.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Thank you. Ms. McKittrick and then Mr. Alexander, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Two quick questions from me. How is the behavior managed in the moment? You said, so if I give you a scenario and a child is being disruptive, but you don't want to call the child out in class, how is that managed right then? How do you stop the disruptive behavior without calling out the child? That's my first question. And second, how does it address teacher behaviors? As a former teacher, and as you said, sometimes our emotions escalate right along with the children. So how does this program address teacher behavior so that they manage that escalation better and don't maybe contribute to a further escalation? Thank you.
Can I let one of the teachers answer that? Tracy, Courtney, or Kelly?
So I guess I could start to try to address that question. Most of our behavior levels are going to be a low level, like a level 1 or a level 2. Your level 3 behavior might be a student throwing tears or, can't stay in the room for safety reasons. So most of our behaviors are going to be at the level 1 and level 2. And addressing small disruptive behaviors can be done just walking, sometimes proximity to the student or whispering in their ear or pulling them aside and having a private conversation. The conversation shouldn't take more than a minute or two. And if it requires a more in-depth conversation, something that would require a detention or a possible office referral, well, then we would pull the student aside and have a more productive, constructive meeting of how to move forward to do better, make better choices with those behaviors. The second question I think you asked about the teachers and how the teachers would be trained to de-escalate emotions in that moment. Is that correct?
In fact, yes, their own emotions, though, in fact.
Right. So with the Give Them 5, we, and this is again a skill that we'll practice over time, you have a guide. So in your mind, you're going through 5 different categories of targets that you want to try to, get reason with the student, and it starts with support. So when you come in a calm, because you've already practiced, you've already prepared it in your mind, you're approaching that student in a calm manner so they can borrow some of your emotion. And then you start off supporting with a positive support for that student to continue to de-escalate. And then we go through the other 4 steps from there. So I hope that kind of address your concern with how the teacher matches the emotion.
Can I add in there?
Yes.
That Give Them 5 that we keep talking about, support, expectation, breakdown, benefit, and closure. That is the framework that we will have and be prepared and be able to borrow the calm of knowing what we're already going to do. It's the calm of, I have a plan. This is what I'm going to implement. I'm going to have it somewhere in my room to make sure I'm going through all 5 steps, and that plan of this is how I'm going to talk to the student. I already have a way of what I'm going to say. It's going to be different for every child, and every child is going to be behaving differently, but I know I need to get a support in there. I know I need to get an expectation in there and a foundation in there and a benefit and a closure. So it gives us that calm, cool, collected. I already know what I'm going to say or do, and helps us keep our calm and have a plan.
And just to follow up with that, it also gives the kids the reassurance that no matter what teacher they're going to, as we get better at this and we're practicing, all the teachers are consistent with it. So if they go to Ms. Stark's room and they're having a challenging moment, she's going to speak with them to the same tone as I just spoke to them, and then they don't have to be worried they're going to get yelled at in her room and calm with me, and the next teacher's going to throw them out, but the next teacher's going to give them a hug. Everybody's going to be consistent, and that alone can de-escalate and give less anxiety to some of our children so that they can just kind of maintain a sense of calm themselves.
And part of the training for the teachers, as I believe I heard the staff address, is that relationship building. So they know that in order to help calm the students, they have to be calm themselves. In order to relate to the students, they have to be to find out more about their students before it escalates. So there's different activities that they can do to find out what interests the kids, to find out how to build a relationship with their students. And then these are just strategies to help them move through a process of de-escalating their student, to help them calm first and to have an approach in their mind on how they're going to reach their student in a very respectful manner and not being escalated themselves, but be in a calm manner approach their students. So all of this is part of their own training, is to reflect on themselves and how they're going to be approaching their students.
Thank you so much. Any follow-up, Ms. McKittrick?
No, thank you.
Xander?
I want to thank everyone for the great presentation you gave to us tonight. Thank you very much. As a person who works with kids every day, just like all of you, I understand the process, and I was putting myself in the classroom where I've been before and saying, okay, how's this work? But when I looked at it, I thought about what this is trying to do, and what in the long term will be beneficial to us, is saying that we're changing the mindset along of the students, as well as giving them some tools that will help them along the way, which in turn will change their behavior and give us more educational outcomes. And so when I'm thinking of this and I'm looking at it, because we kind of have changed in criminal justice as well. The way that you used to do stuff with criminal justice, I was never pleased with some of it, but I know that we have a judge right now who has been doing a lot of good things when she came in, and we're doing things to help versus hurt. And so I think what I'm hearing from all of you tonight is this is going to be something that will help the kids. It could help immediately with some kids, and some it'll take a little while longer. But I also believe that the most important thing for all of you will be is the training and making sure everybody's trained to do it the same way. Just like you guys said, you're going to leave from one teacher to another teacher, and you're going to get the same thing. So the kid is beginning to understand and learn at that point in time. So I like it. So I mean, I'm speaking for myself, you know, and saying that, but I do like the program that you guys presented to us tonight. I think it will be beneficial to our kids, and we also have to make sure we look at the pockets of kids that we're dealing with also, and giving them type of things that we need for those pockets, because that cookie cutter piece is not going to work. So thank you guys for this here. I think it'll be good for our students.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Ms. Autry.
Thank you, everyone, for that presentation. My question is quick. So do you think that moving forward, it's going to be beneficial that this carries on to the middle school level? When I think about continuity, you know, we're going to have to reinforce everything they've learned through this program, you know, from K through 6. So that was my question. Thank you.
I think our 6th graders, I mean, I think by the end of the year, as they're older, they might retain more, but I think every child that's going to have it more than a year, I think it'll become ingrained in them. I think it'll be a way of life, like they're gaining life skills, emotional control. It's a true skill set. They're learning emotional control. They're learning how to de-escalate themselves. I think their social emotional health is going to be better off. And I think it'll follow them down the road as well.
Those problem solving skills as well. Instead of getting ready to, you know, punch somebody, they're going to be able to talk themselves down and how can I work around this? I know I want to hit this. Teacher, I need to leave the room. Can I go get to the bathroom? Can I go get a drink? And they're going to walk away instead of throw that punch. So that emotional control and that problem solving, they're going to read some of the things they're doing. Tracy.
And we want students to see the benefits and the supports of making alternate choices and seeing it become automatic, like building a muscle, get stronger. And the more schools that get on board, the merrier.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I guess I'm just thinking about continuity, because once you get to middle and high school, that's actually when the challenge begins, because students are facing a whole different realm of issues and challenges, and to have that support still available to them to help reinforce what they learn K through 6 would probably be beneficial.
It will be a beautiful thing when we can get our older kids on board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Autry. Dr. Akbar.
Yes, thank you, everyone, for the presentation. Definitely, it's very apparent that what each of you want to do is to build a culture of care within your school, and I think that that's admirable. I'm still concerned that this method is not one that will do that, and so I guess I just have a few questions because of the presentation that you stated. It appears as though the method, based off the resources that I've read, as well as this presentation, is based off deficiencies of our students and blaming the students. And so can you share with me how it doesn't, when everything that the presentation and what was on the website and in the book that I took the gander at talked about defiance, talked about mistrust, very high poverty, deficiencies, lost boys, manipulative, girl drama. So can you talk to me about how that language that's very deficiency latent doesn't seep into our district?
So I was one that attended AccuTrain in Texas, and Lost Boys was actually a separate presentation from Larry Thompson, and Girl Drama is separate from Larry Thompson as well. Whereas the titles may seem a little derogatory, I actually attended Lost Boys, and it was put in a very positive light. It was bringing them back so that they weren't lost, in how to get them back into the school mindset and doing well. So some of those titles that you did list are separate from Larry Thompson and separate from RCD, and we're complete different presenters down in Texas.
Okay, so
the other, Dr. Akbar, if I may just say, the issues that David Hill presented to you are their issues. Mm-hmm. And I would just like to applaud the staff for identifying through their data what their issues are that they feel the data represents. And now the question is, what are you going to do about it? We don't want to admire the data. We want to, and that's what we empower them to do through the school improvement process, is to research different strategies that are out there and to try them at their school and to see what now. Keep looking at the data and seeing, are we having an impact on it? So I do not believe the girl drama. I mean, I used to teach. There is girl drama. You know, I mean, I wish I could say it's not in my household. My niece brings it. So we do need to address it. And I think that this is just trying to give teachers tools in their toolbox to help address those issues that they're experiencing in the classroom. So it's empowering the teachers to not just say we have it, but now what do we do about it in a positive manner? And that's what I believe the David Hill staff is trying to present to you. Not that maybe somewhere else it may be perceived or used incorrectly. Their hearts are in the right place, and they're telling you how they plan to use it to have a positive impact on their data.
Yeah.
And I think all we can do is support them, to me, this is just me, support them in that effort that is the school improvement process, and then to hold them accountable for keeping up with the data to see, is what you're trying having a different impact, a positive impact on your student data that they brought to you this evening.
Right, and I totally understand that, Ms. Kelly. Everything that was presented even today makes sense. The way you presented it is definitely different than what is on the website and the way the book presents the information. And all I'm saying is we need to, if we're going to be focused on equity, if we're going to be focused on root causes and attacking the root causes, the resources in which we invest in has to also be centered in that. And this does not do that. And so not your intent definitely is, but I don't, that this resource responsibility centered discipline doesn't do that. And I think that if it was not a 3-year commitment that we would be embarking upon, I would be willing to not say anything. And I've said this before, that we are working on getting our vision out there and getting equity to be more embedded within our district. But because this is a 3-year process and it does not follow the lens of equity, I think that is where I have a challenge and why I had to point it out. And I think that the last thing I'll say is, you know, we have an in-house expert who has the equity lens in Ms. Chapman. And I'm wondering, you know, has she reviewed this training and what is her thoughts? Because if she disagrees with me, then I'm willing to let it go. But I think that my equity lens, which is what my expertise is in, as well as being a former middle school teacher, I do not see it.
Okay, go ahead, Tracy.
If I may, Dr. Akbar, just to add to your concern, which is a valid concern, we have kids in the classroom who often say, the teacher doesn't like me, or why is it that that student got away with it, but I can't? So this program helps us to close that gap. We are no longer in a position where we have to debate with the student about what's fair. You're going to do it. Don't worry about what he said. I'm talking to you right now. This is what I want you to do. We're approaching it in a different way so that student does not feel like A, they're not being heard, or B, the concerns are not legitimate with what other kids may be doing, making it feel inequitable. So we're able to close that equity gap by approaching students with positive behavior supports and benefits. And then they can see how they can solve the problem for themselves, you know, building that muscle of, okay, well, what's in it for me? And the teacher being skilled enough to recognize those exits that allow that equity gap to grow. We identify and become skilled with those exits so that then everybody feels like they're being treated fairly.
Yeah, and I understand. I think that if we don't build a system that eliminates the institutional barriers, then it's hard for our students to begin to grow in the ways that they need to grow. And continuing down the road of considering a student saying that they didn't know, or why did someone else do that as them being wrong, is, I think, fundamentally is definitely fundamentally putting us in a disposition of continually perpetuating a bad cycle. And so, like I said, I don't know if Ms. Chapman is in the meeting, but I'm wondering what are her thoughts. And not to put you on the spot, but I don't know if she's here.
I am here, Dr. Akbar. I haven't had enough time to really dissect the program from beginning to end, only a cursory look at the elements. I would always defer to how are we addressing the root causes of discipline issues in our schools. And when we do that, then how do we address those? I would also be interested in knowing, to build consistency to Mrs. Autry's point, how we are sharing this with families and how this information is taken from the school to the home and building those relationships as well. I think we have to look at helping our students take responsibility for their behaviors, but I also believe that we also have to have our own sense of awareness and self-management, and then have the discussion about how we hold ourselves accountable as well. So when it falls apart, how are we addressing it with our adults in the building?
Yeah. Actually, as we have these first couple of weeks of school starting, we are doing training with our staff, and Carla is coming out and addressing our self-awareness. Growing, the title is Growing in Our Self-Awareness with our staff. So incorporated into our 90-day plan, we have things under our climate and the action steps to address the social emotional learning. So the teachers are definitely going to, as we talked about, have that training, have practice with it, consistency across every grade level within the building. And as it was addressed earlier, even hopefully we'll see the successes that we have and that we can continue that on the middle schools and the high schools. We would love to see our program be a success. That is our goal.
And to go even deeper into the self-awareness, Dr. Akbar, I'm looking at how we have the conversations around microaggressions, micro-assaults, and micro-insults. Because even if we are unintentionally using language that communicates that negative message to those students who are already marginalized, that is something we know that we have to address.
And I appreciate you saying that, because that is my major concern with this entire program, that it uses those micro assaults as a way to frame all of their framework, and unfortunately, it does. And so, I'm not going to support it.
Thank you. Any other follow-up questions or discussion? And seeing none, this item is under unfunded 3.28 AccuTrain Corp Service Agreement with for David Hill and Robbie's. At this point, if we will we'll entertain a motion if there is one, and if there is not one, then we will move on.
I would like to make a motion to follow the recommendation of the superintendent and the executive director of elementary ed and the two schools who have brought this forward.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Alexander. Any final comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Autry?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Dr. Hall?
No.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick?
No.
Dr. Akbar?
No.
Thank you.